Another day, another safety tips. 1. Question. What are the potential hazards associated with welding and gas cutting operations? Answer. The potential hazards associated with welding and gas cutting operations include electrical hazards, fire and explosion risks, toxic fumes and gases, UV radiation, eye and skin injuries, and physical hazards from flying sparks and debris. 2. Question. How do you ensure proper ventilation in a welding and gas cutting area? Answer. Proper ventilation in a welding and gas cutting area can be ensured by using local exhaust ventilation systems, such as fume extraction hoods and ducts, to capture and remove hazardous fumes and gases. Adequate airflow and fresh air intake should also be maintained to minimize the buildup of contaminants. 3. Question. What personal protective equipment, PPE, should be worn by workers engaged in welding and gas cutting activities? Answer. Workers engaged in welding and gas cutting activities should wear appropriate PPE, which may include welding helmets with appropriate shades, safety glasses, welding gloves, flame-resistant clothing, steel-toed boots, and respiratory protection such as a respirator or a powered air purifying respirator, PAPR. 4. Question. How do you ensure fire safety during welding and gas cutting operations? Answer. Fire safety during welding and gas cutting operations can be ensured by implementing a comprehensive fire prevention program, including measures such as removing flammable materials from the work area, using fire-resistant barriers and shields, having fire extinguishers readily available, and establishing clear procedures for hot work permits and fire watch personnel. 5. Question. Can you explain the process of gas cylinder handling and storage for welding and cutting purposes? Answer. Gas cylinder handling and storage for welding and cutting purposes should involve proper handling, secure storage, and adherence to relevant regulations. This includes ensuring cylinders are stored in well-ventilated areas away from ignition sources, securing cylinders to prevent tipping or falling, inspecting cylinders regularly for damage or leaks, and following proper protocols for transportation and exchange. 6. Question. What safety precautions should be taken to prevent exposure to welding fumes and gases? Answer. Safety precautions to prevent exposure to welding fumes and gases include providing adequate ventilation, using local exhaust systems, using respiratory protection when necessary, implementing administrative controls such as work rotation and limiting exposure time, and utilizing fume extraction equipment or filters to remove contaminants from the air. 7. Question. How do you ensure that welding and gas cutting equipment is properly maintained and inspected? Answer. Welding and gas cutting equipment should be properly maintained and inspected by conducting regular inspections, following manufacturers' guidelines for maintenance and servicing, keeping records of inspections and maintenance activities, and training personnel on proper equipment use and maintenance procedures. 8. Question. Can you describe the procedure for conducting a hot work permit for welding and gas cutting activities? Answer. The procedure for conducting a hot work permit typically involves assessing the work area for potential hazards, identifying fire prevention measures, obtaining necessary authorizations, communicating the scope of work to personnel involved, implementing safety measures such as fire watches, and conducting post-work inspections to ensure safe completion of the job. 9. Question. What steps would you take to prevent accidental ignition or explosion during welding or gas cutting? Answer. To prevent accidental ignition or explosion during welding or gas cutting, safety measures should include removing flammable materials from the work area, isolating the area with appropriate barriers, using flame retardant covers or shields, having fire extinguishers readily available, ensuring proper ventilation, and implementing effective grounding and bonding practices. 10. Question. How do you handle emergencies or accidents that may occur during welding and gas cutting operations? Answer: handling emergencies or accidents during welding and gas cutting operations requires implementing an emergency response plan, including immediately stopping work, assessing the situation, providing first aid or medical assistance if needed, notifying the appropriate personnel, and documenting the incident for further investigation and improvement. 11. Question: what is the purpose of a welding safety program, and what elements should it include? Answer: the purpose of a welding safety program is to ensure the well-being of workers and prevent accidents and injuries. It should include elements such as hazard identification and assessment, training and education, safe work practices, pay requirements, equipment inspection and maintenance, emergency response procedures, and ongoing monitoring and improvement. 12. Question: how do you ensure compliance with relevant welding and gas cutting regulations and standards? Answer: ensuring compliance with relevant welding and gas cutting regulations and standards involves staying updated on the latest requirements, conducting regular audits and inspections, providing training to employees, maintaining proper documentation, and collaborating with relevant regulatory agencies or industry associations. 13. Question: can you explain the concept of hot work and its associated safety precautions? Answer: hot work refers to any work that involves welding, cutting, brazing, or other activities that generate heat, sparks, or open flames. Safety precautions for hot work include obtaining a hot work permit, identifying potential fire hazards, implementing fire prevention measures, ensuring proper ventilation, using appropriate pay, having fire extinguishing equipment readily available, and conducting fire watches during and after work. 14. Question: what are some common causes of welding-related accidents, and how can they be prevented? Answer: common causes of welding-related accidents include inadequate training, improper use of equipment, lack of proper pay, failure to identify and control hazards, and insufficient maintenance of equipment. Prevention measures include comprehensive training, strict adherence to safety procedures, proper equipment maintenance, regular inspections, and ongoing hazard assessments. 15. Question: how do you promote a safety culture among workers engaged in welding and gas cutting activities? Answer: promoting a safety culture involves fostering open communication, providing regular safety training and reminders, encouraging workers to report hazards or near misses, recognizing and rewarding safe behaviors, conducting safety meetings, and involving workers in safety committees or initiatives. 16. Question: what steps should be taken to minimize the risk of electrical hazards during welding operations? Answer: minimizing the risk of electrical hazards during welding operations includes inspecting equipment and cords for damage, ensuring proper grounding of welding machines, using ground fault circuit interrupters (GFCIs), avoiding damp or wet conditions, keeping electrical panels and outlets clear of debris, and following lockout, TAGU procedures when working on electrical systems. 17. Question: how do you ensure the safe handling and storage of welding electrodes? Answer: ensuring the safe handling and storage of welding electrodes involves storing them in a dry, designated area away from moisture and extreme temperatures, using appropriate containers to prevent damage or contamination, and following manufacturers' guidelines for storage and handling. Thanks for watching.